Well, the outdoor activities here in Southern Alberta are part of the reason this area is a great place to live and also play in. And we've been chatting about the activities in the Crowsnest Pass in recent weeks. And that's, of course, the mountainous region in southwestern Alberta on the eastern slope of the Rocky Mountains. It's famous for outdoor recreation, and we did not want to forget about the motorized sports and opportunities that the region also has to offer. So to talk about what fuels their passion for exploring the public land use zones on 2 and 4 wheels, we're joined by Gary Clark of the Crowsnest Quad Squad. Gary, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, so maybe give us a bit about, tell us a little bit about the origins of the Crowsnest Pass Quad Squad. I got to make sure I say that right. It's kind of a tongue twister. So what's its mission or purpose? Why does it exist?
The Quad Squad is a nonprofit organization that was formed roughly 25 years ago, incorporated 25 years ago. And our mission is really to promote safe and responsible riding in the Crowsnest Pass on motorized vehicles. Big component of that is education on how to ride responsibly and safely, and also to respect all the laws and the environmental impacts that we have on the environment. So that's basically what we do. We do a lot of trail maintenance. We have purchased some heavy duty equipment to be able to go into the trails and smooth the trails out, take away of the erosion factors, and to build what's called swales, which are basically a hump in the trail to divert the water off the trail safely into the forest floor and not go into the creeks. We also do a large number of bridge building and also bridge placement. We have, over the years of the history of the club, we've had over 70 bridges that we've placed over waterways.
Wow.
Last year, for example, we did a number of projects that we also put in a couple of bridges, and also we were commissioned by the provincial government to divert a new trail around some really badly eroded areas and let nature take its course. There's 2 particular trails that we did, both about almost 3/4 of a kilometer long. So that's the type of work that we do.
That's so interesting. So you're conservationists as well as recreationalists. And I think a lot of people might not realize that. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, of course, also about safety and responsibility. And we're definitely going to get into that as well. I think most people would think that this group is mostly about fuel and friendship, that's basically what powers the factors for you. But what do you think is the motivating factor for your members to join?
Well, there's a lot. There's the camaraderie. There's like you say, the friendship. A lot of people that join the club are fairly new riders and maybe new to the area and really want to be taken on even like a guided ride type thing to know where they can go and learn the rules and stuff like that. So we have 2 major events. We call them a season opener in the spring and a season closure in the fall, and it's a camp out type thing. And we have poker runs and prizes and stuff like that.
Sounds like fun.
Usually we get about 100 participants each time. So,
Wow.
and then we also do 5-day rides during the year.
Wow.
And usually we get about 40 people come out to some of the rides. So.
That's a long time to get out there and ride. 5 days. That's amazing. So do you personally have a favorite area or trail to ride?
Well, they're all favorites, I guess, but I think the Willoughby Trail in the Castle Parks has got to be one of my more favorite trails, and then also the Spoon Valley Run, which goes around leaving from the McGillivray staging area, and then going around Crowsnest Mountain down in a nice flat area, and then back down on the Atlas pipeline trail system, and then cutting across back to McGillivray.
Yeah, fantastic. It's such a beautiful area. And of course, you are joining us there from that little slice of heaven, Coleman, right? Which is right there in the Crowsnest Pass. You're right in the heart of it. Okay, so Gary, in recent years, I know quadding in the Rockies and in the wilderness has gotten some bad press, and some people are against it, saying that it disrupts the migratory patterns of animals, or that it's maybe bad for the environment, or wrecks grasses, trees, bushes, what have you, right? And at one point, I think it was even banned temporarily. So, what would your response be to all of that?
Well, that's one of the biggest challenges that we had. Certainly, at one point, I think we had close to about 2,500 kilometers of trails. And through the designated trails system, that has now been reduced to roughly about 600 kilometers. So there's a big disruption in the trail system. Most of the trails we have now have bridges over most of the waters. We're still striving to be 100%, but it's going to take a long time. So that was one of our biggest challenges to overcome. Unfortunately, when you reduce the amount of trails, and more people are going on the trails, so that's adding more traffic and possibly more damage. So that was one of the reasons that we made a decision to purchase some heavy duty equipment to go out and fix the trails. So we have a very aggressive season to doing that. It's saving the money, or saving the government thousands of dollars a year, because we do it from our own fundraising and stuff like that. So, for example, last year we estimated in kind it saved the government about $66,000. So it's considerable, and we love doing it. It's we have a great crew to work with, and everybody has fun. And again, I think that's part of the you're talking about the fuel to join the club. That's part of it as well. We
Yeah.
have over 3,000 hours in volunteer hours throughout the year, and everybody has a lot of fun not only working but also going on the rides as well.
Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting on the flip side of all that bad press, you guys are doing those conservation efforts. You guys are involved in a lot of stuff there. It's really interesting. So, are there any other challenges or obstacles that you've encountered while operating as a group?
Well, I think obviously the financial aspect of it. Everybody is struggling to raise money, and there were funds that were available which dried up. Fortunately, the Conservative government, along with the NDP, had started this as well in getting what's called a Trail Act in place, so that part of the registration from the monies that goes to the registration of the machines itself is now being divided up into a pot administered by the Alberta Off-Highway Vehicle Association. And from that, then we are able to draw funds from that to complete our project. So that's been a huge help to us, that we can concentrate more on maintaining the trails and getting bridges over waters and stuff like that, instead of having to do a lot of fundraising and in place of it. So.
Oh, that's so interesting. Are there any special requirements someone might need to operate one of these vehicles? You don't need any special license or certificate or anything like that, right?
No, you don't. It does have to be registered and insured, which is one of our club policies.
Okay.
You do have to wear helmets on a quad. Provincially, the law says that if you're in a side by side with a seatbelt on, then you do not need a helmet. But on any of the quad squad rides, that is mandatory, that you have to wear a helmet, even in a side by side. So,
Yeah.
safety first.
Yeah, speaking of safety, every so often you hear about accidents or incidents involving an off-road vehicle. I know growing up, we had three-wheel ATVs out at our cabin, and almost every one of us kids had some sort of accident with it. Thankfully, nothing more than just broken bones. But I believe those three-wheelers are now banned. But do you ensure your members practice any other type of safety measures other than helmets? Like, how does the group prioritize safety and responsibility for quad riding?
Well, again, with the helmet use, and you're right, three wheelers have been banned, and there was a reason for it, and I rode them and know why they're banned. But uh, yeah, they mostly when we go in a group, then we have a meeting beforehand. We have to be very conscious that we're in a wildlife corridor. The bears are out. We do carry bear bangers, and we do have emergency satellite equipment with us for any type of emergency. We also carry radios that we can communicate back and forth between ourselves, and then also, if required, we can also reach the search and rescue channels and the other government channels. So we want to tell people to ride slowly. It's not a race. You're out there to enjoy the backcountry, and also to respect people when we come upon hikers, to slow down. You don't need to be roaring by them, and slow down. And same as the mountain bike people and the equestrians. So it's that backcountry is for everybody. It's not just for us. It's for everybody. So
Yeah, I
all
haven't
fun.
gone in the back country, but I would imagine it's a beautiful way to see the mountains and the countryside.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you go right up Willoughby Ridge, for example, and that's probably why I like it the best, is because you're actually on top of a ridge. So on your right, you see a downhill view. On your left, you see a downhill view.
Oh, wow. That's
It's
incredible.
absolutely beautiful.
No kidding. Okay, so in your mind, how has the Crow's Nest Pass Quad Squad positively impacted the local community?
Well, there was a study done in 2014 by a lady from the University of Alberta that did a study as part of her master's degree, and she estimated that through online surveys and also interviews of over 600 people, that the annual income to the Crow's Nest Pass was $7.1 million spent on anything from food, fuel, travel, etc. And $4.4 million of that was actually spent locally in the Crow's Nest Pass. So
Wow.
that's considerable amount of money. We
Yeah.
also have an annual budget of roughly about $100,000 that all of that money is spent either locally, or if we can't get it locally here, then certainly in Lethbridge has helped us out as far as equipment and stuff like that as well. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, and also, I think the volunteerism that we do,
Mm.
from anything from fundraising for like doing bartending for weddings, or the
Oh,
curling club,
fun.
our annual raffle off quad, or side by side, actually
Yeah.
brings in an awful lot of money for us for our purposes. And just the volunteering of getting out, like Stewardship Day, the first weekend in June, doing projects to clean up areas, or also to do the maintenance on trails itself, I think is a very positive aspect for the Crow's Nest Pass, and it keeps people coming back as well.
That's so interesting. It sounds like you're involved in all kinds of activities and events. And what are maybe the future goals or plans that the group is currently working towards?
Uh, We're going to carry on as we do now. We work very closely with the provincial government, in particular the local forestry office, and the higher ups in environment and parks as well. They've been a very solid base for us. We rely on them on advice on how to do a certain trail or maintain the trails. They've come out and make sure that we're doing it correctly, and how they want it done and stuff. So we have a really good relationship to it. We're very lucky down here that we do. And so we're going to continue going on with building more bridges and putting more bridges in place where it's required. We understand the science behind how the going through waters impacts the fish habitat and things like that. So
Yeah, I
we
was
all
going to ask you actually why build a bridge? I know these things can cut right through the water depending how deep it is.
yeah, and it's fun to go through the water,
Hmm.
but that's part of the thing. It's actually illegal to go through the water.
Okay.
So that's why we build the bridges, and it basically, if when you're going through the water, you're stirring up the silt, which causes the deeper pools to fill up, and the water slows down. The fish can't have a great habitat to live in, covers up the food. There's all kinds of reasons, but
Makes sense. Once
that's
you
why we
start
put the
thinking
bridges
about
in.
it, it definitely makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe like we're almost out of time here, but really quickly, what advice would you give to individuals or families who might be interested in ATV quad riding?
I would definitely join a club such as ours. There are other clubs around the province as well, if you're not from this area. But certainly you can look us up on our website at quadsquad.ca, and also our Facebook page as well. The benefits of joining the club are that you get some reductions from certain businesses in town as well. And also you get the emails and their messages on safety and upcoming events and stuff like that. So,
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask, is there a benefit to joining a club like this other than just going out on your own?
well, I think there is. We always urge people to at least go with another couple or so, because if you do break down way out in the middle of the trail, it's a long walk back, and
Yes.
uh,
Could be
yeah, so
dangerous.
that's the other advantage of going on our rides. Of course, if someone breaks down or is having trouble or is afraid to go over a certain area, then you have all kinds of help there to
Yeah.
help
You need that
people.
buddy system, I guess. It can be
Exactly,
dangerous out there in the wilderness, that's for sure.
exactly.
All right. Well, Gary Clark of the Crowsnest Quad Squad, thanks so much for joining us today from Coleman, Alberta. A little slice of heaven there in the Crowsnest Pass.
Absolutely. Come on out. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.